Christmases in the Cecchini household.
It was chaos.
It would just be chaos.
Oh my goodness. Chaos.
And it's just pure chaos.
There was always laughing and yelling.
Christmas was always just a lot of fun.
Christmas is pretty crazy.
Crazy. It was a madhouse.
Christmases at home with my parents were fun, but the priority of the day always was, okay, almost time to go to Grandpapa's and be with all of my cousins. Have Christmas with my grandparents and all of my aunts and uncles and cousins.
Going to Grandma and Grandpa's was the ultimate, right? Because all of the cousins were there, and you walked in and you had a huge pile, times 10, for all of us.
You'd walk into their living room, and it was a good-sized room, and enough room for all the grandkids anyway, and you'd walk in there, and it would be a little aisle going through all the mounds of gifts.
It was definitely magical. You'd walk up into the den, up the stairs, and you look into the room, and everybody's presents were separated, so that you knew where you were going. But there was just always presents everywhere. Presents stacked everywhere.
So many gifts. There's so many of us.
Go in the living room and presents galore. There's just presents literally everywhere. So many grandkids and everything. So many presents for everybody.
Paper everywhere and an absolute mess and tons of gifts. The stockings were loaded with a bunch of good stuff.
Never failed. Somebody pick up a piece of wrapping paper, crumple it up, and toss it across the room. And that just started an endless wrapping paper war.
There was always a gift wrap fight. There was always balls of wrapping paper flying past your head.
We're constantly throwing wrapping paper at each other.
Everybody throwing wrapping paper at each other.
We'd throw wrapping paper at each other as hard as we could. It was always fun with the older cousins because they were relentless.
And then we would finish unwrapping all the gifts, and then the money trees came out.
What always impressed me is the time that Grandma would spend making these whatever they were. I think we got wreaths one year, trees for the most part.
Like artificial pine tree structures made out of like metal wire that had dollar bills just threaded through.
She'd sit there and just put it all on the trees and put it all on the trees, and then we'd all undo the trees. She goes, you know how long it took me to do that? Well, we want to know what's on it.
The dollars had to be so heavily folded and tucked in that you'd rip half the dollars trying to get them off, and then you spend half the night trying to flatten them out just so you could now go through and count all your dollars. And I remember it was always a competition between me and my cousins to see who got the most. Well, it was pretty clear at the end of the day we all got the same amount of money, but everybody counted out, I got 25, I'm on to 30, whatever it was. And it was just a kind of a really cool take on being handed cash from your grandparents.
What I can always remember is on Christmas, Grandma and Papa sit in their chairs and they just kind of watch us, and I can just tell that they're really proud of who we are.
Honestly, one of my favorite moments ever, every Christmas, is while everyone's unwrapping, I always like to look at Grandma and Papa, and just the smile on his face is worth everything.
It's hectic, but it's beautiful. I love that. Definitely a very special day.
The whole family, we all are just very appreciative of each other, and just thanking each other and loving each other, and that's what it is. And Christmas is crazy, but it's fun. And we still do it now with the great grandkids, which is awesome.
Being so excited to have that experience with him and know that, now my children get to have that with him.
Not many people can say that they've watched their grandparents go to great-grandparents.
I feel so fortunate that my kids are so lucky to live through having great-grandparents.
Remembers all the kids' names. How are they doing? You always ask how they're doing. I mean, even sometimes if they have certain events, how did that go? It's amazing. I can't remember stuff at my age that he can. It's pretty impressive.
He's genuinely interested in how they're doing and what they're involved in.
Mason, our oldest, has a wonderful relationship with him. He spent a day with him and Grandma, and they ended up playing a card game, and Papa took one of his trophies from a car show and scratched it off and put Mason's number 1 on it and gave it to him, and it sits in his room to this day.
I feel fortunate that I was able to see my great-grandparents and have such great memories of them, and so now that my kids have that, it's just such a gift.